Okay, I think we're on. Hi, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Laura Bewer and I'm with CoachMeLaura.com. And my colleague in crime today is Carol Ray. Carol, do you have anything you want to share? I know you're going to share something else later, but anything you're excited about now?
Well, it's not the dogs barking, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we are getting closer and closer to moving, but we cannot find a mover. My husband retired from a big freight company as an operations manager, overseeing hundreds of people, right? Can we get a moving truck out here? Because this particular one sends pods, they send packers. So it's a problem, but we're excited about moving. I have a lot of stuff. I'm also very excited about something that is going to be resurrected. We're going to start Primetime Notaries again, which is the online meetings, really aimed at the more senior people who are in this business today. Most of my graduates are really people in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Got people coming into a new career in their mid 70s, which is remarkable, and I love it. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to be announcing that shortly. I think we're going to start probably in November, and it'll be once a month, and we can talk about the issues that face us as more mature people. I'm going to be making an announcement in groups. We have a Facebook group called Notary Professionals, and I just realized today that we've got over 4,000 members there. So if anybody wants to join it, it's called Notary Professionals at Facebook, and it's a great group, lots of information, but you'll be able to get notifications when we're going to resurrect Primetime Notaries. And I have a couple of other things. I'm kind of wordy today. I had a graduate who was doing a signing in California for an Indiana property, and she said there's required witnesses, and I know Indiana never had a requirement. So I went online and I discovered that for anybody who's in Indiana or has a split signing with Indiana notaries or whatever, that they now require witnesses to do the recordable real estate documents, such as deeds of trust, grant deeds, and so forth, and they need to be notarized. Now, Laura, I don't know about you, but I have never seen anything that requires the witnesses to be notarized. So am I like behind the times, or what's going on? Also, one other thing, we have a guest here today I'm very excited about. I talked to Laura this morning. I was going to do the videos, but he's agreed to be on with us. His name is David Fleck, and he's the owner of a new company that has a new app that we should all be concerned with. It deals with fraudulent identification, and I'm going to let him speak for himself later on. So that's pretty much it for me.
That was quite a bit. All right, well, while you're talking, I'm trying to figure out why I can't see my chat on the side, my participants, so that I can see. Zoom has made a change, and so every time people come in, I have to stop what I'm doing and I need to admit them. So I have to go back and forth a few times so that people are not left in the waiting room, which means I can't see what's going on. So
can I help you?
You have to be the co-host. Is that your?
I don't know what I am.
Well, you have to look to see what it says next to your name, Carol.
Yeah, make somebody else a co-host that can be your gatekeeper.
Yeah, and I don't know how to do anything. So that sounds really easy.
Yeah, I'm a co-host.
Carol, are you looking? Are you a co-host?
Mm-hmm.
And every time it says, like right now, it says 12 people entered in the waiting room. Do you see that at the top of your screen?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, well then I have to do it.
Oh, you know what? I do see it.
Fine.
Wait a minute. It's on the right side. Admit all.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Okay.
If you keep doing that for me, then I don't have to worry about it.
No,
Otherwise,
I'll
people are left in a waiting room.
Yeah, I got it.
Hear us. All right, so now since you're going to do that, let me go back.
So I'm going to mute myself here.
Gallery view. Okay, so thank you for sharing all of that, and welcome to your guest. I'm sorry, Carol, his name again is? Unmute.
David Fleck.
I'm
Thank
sorry, I
you,
muted
David.
myself.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm excited about a couple things as well. One is that I had a new video come out today. Some of you may have seen it already. And the point to it is about how we make things happen because we can, especially in this time where we have more signings we can even handle and we book from morning till night, 5, 6, 7 days a week, that we don't get on our own calendars. And so that happened to me. I was just so busy. I'm working 7 days a week that I missed 3 videos. 3 weeks in a row. I did not get on my calendar to post a video. So I did one to do 2 things. One, to remind myself that I have to make an appointment. I have to make time for either me, that means having a cup of coffee and taking a breath, to work with a coach, which I have one, to take care of some of the other things I do behind the scenes so that everything happens smoothly. And so if you're out there trying to make your business happen, if you don't spend the time and you're not committed to doing those things that don't bring in the dollars, right? They're the behind the scenes that lead to the dollars, then you will not have a sustainable business, right? You need to build this foundation and have this going on behind the scenes so it stays together. And something that I had heard, I loved it, John Assaraf said, and it was the difference between being interested and committed. And if I'm interested, it means I do what's necessary when I feel like it. And when I'm committed, I do what's necessary whether or not I feel like it. All right, so that means I got to make things happen all the time, not just when I feel like that's a good idea. So that's what I'm floating on this week, is getting myself on that calendar every single day. I hope you put yourself on your calendar as well. So we're going to open up in a moment here to take questions as we do every week. Remember, when the camera's on, your clothes are on. Remember, we can hear everything. So you should all be muted if you are not the one talking, because we hear that crosstalk and it makes it very difficult for us to hear the question that's being asked. All right, so if everybody's in agreement with that, let me see if I can get to my participants with hands raised. And the first hand that's raised, Neil?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Neil, welcome.
Thank you. I have a quick question. I just need some clarification on something. You know how when you notarize a document, you notarize a document and let's say you have 2 signatures. Now, Notary Gadget, the software I use for my bookkeeping, it asks me how many notarizations I've done. Is that the number of signatures or is it just how many times I stamped?
It's number of signatures.
Okay.
Each person, each signer is a notarization, even if you put more than one signer in a certificate.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I just wanted clarification on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, great. And you know what? He just did an excellent job of what I asked, which is say who you are, say where you're from, and tell me your question. So that way we get through as many as we can. The next one, let me see if I can see. It would not be Bill. Bill, are you asking a question? He can't be. He's not here. All right. I think Nancy. Let me
Hi,
see.
here I am. Hi, this is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Welcome.
I am in Florida. Yay!
Hey.
I have 2 questions. One is, Laura, when are you doing the Fidelity workshop now? It moved.
It moved to October 10th.
Okay, and we'll get an email on that.
Yeah, well, Bill will be back next week, and you guys will be receiving something on it.
Okay, cool. And my other question is, I had a weird form in a packet last night that I haven't had before. It was an ID verification for the notary, I'm guessing, because it asked me to fill out the client's name, their driver's license number, how I identified them. And then under that, it had me sign. So I signed as signing agent. And then it wanted my notary stamp and my insurance number. And I'm like, what? I can't notarize myself.
Right.
So
Right, so that was an easy answer. You can't notarize yourself. Self-notarization not allowed. So there's no reason that they need your seal of office to go on that document. It's nothing wrong with filling out the information, but you will not put your seal. Your seal can only go with notary wording, and notary wording follows a signer signature. So now, I don't have an issue with putting what my E&O is, but you know, that's up to you.
Yeah. So I called them, and the interesting answer was, since I did this through a signing service, they said, oh, ignore them completely. If you're an independent signer with us, you need those. And again, so I just gave them my notary number. I hand wrote it in. And
I wouldn't even give them the number.
Oh, because it's my.
Why give them the commission number if you're not going to use your seal?
But they're asking for my identification, aren't they? I mean, I was confused.
You're signing, Nancy. You're signing a document that says, these are the people I identified and here's what I used to identify them. And then you signed it. Okay. They don't need your commission number. They don't need your seal of office.
Okay, cool.
Because you're not doing that as a notary. You're doing it as a signing agent.
Okay. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Carol, I got people in the waiting room. Can you let them in? You don't see them? All right. I'll admit them. Okay. Apollonia, I think you're next. Did you unmute?
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Carol. I love y'all so much. Oh my gosh. My name is Apollonia Barksdale. I am from Illinois. My question is regarding the notarial verbiage. When I see the word known to me or personally known to me, I always line through an initial. But there's also on other certificates where it says proved to be or known to be. What does known to be mean to me?
Well, I guess I'd really like to see that certificate, but I have seen certificates that say proved to be on the basis of satisfactory evidence. I have seen certificates that say personally known, which of course is not acceptable in California. So I would replace that certificate. And then I've seen certificates that say personally known or approved by in a blank line where I put in an ID card because that's how I did it. Or it said personally known and proved by the first blank line and then another line. And the first line is for a credible witness. And the other line could be for the ID. I've also seen it as personally known to be the person who signed. And that's a little different than the identity question. I know he signed it because I was standing right there, right? Personally known to be the person who signed it is a little different than personally known to me. Do you catch that nuance?
Or if it says known to be. Known to be.
Joe Signer. You know that he's Joe Signer. Do you?
So I know that he's Joe Signer because Joe Signer gave me an ID that says Joe Signer, right?
Right, but that doesn't mean you personally know it. You did it through ID. Right,
Correct,
Apollonia, are you in California?
No, Illinois.
You're in Illinois. So you can use personally known to me, personally known to be. To me, that's pretty much the same thing. Personally known, you know he's this person.
But, oh, okay.
However you know it, you know it. You're in a state that'll, and so is everybody else, unless you're in California, that allows for that kind of language. It says, I personally know him to be this person, or I know it because of ID. And sometimes the certificate does not include the option of the other method you used, which would be ID card.
I understand. Gotcha.
So if you don't know him to be that person,
right?
I don't know if I'd fill that out. I might replace it or as you said, strike it if it gives you the other. I mean, if it gives you the other option, then I don't have a problem with it, because it's one way or the other way.
Yeah, it does give me the option. I always just line through personally because I don't know these people. I never wanted to be understood
But if,
in court that I knew them.
Apollonia, if it has an or statement, personally known
Yes.
to be, or proof through satisfactory evidence or proof through an ID card, that phrase is a true phrase, right? That's a true
Right.
certification. You identified them via this way or that way.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I wouldn't feel a need if I was in Illinois to strike the other part because the whole statement is true.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Carol,
Got you.
I'm sorry, Carol, do you want to add anything to that? She'll have to unmute herself.
No.
Oh, thank you. That was quick. All right. All right. So, Apollonia, does that answer your question?
It sure did. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking my question.
You are welcome. Now, Daniel. Daniel's next. All right, Daniel, did you unmute?
I did. Oh, I'm here in Oregon and now in Washington as well. I'm now dual commissioned, but my question's really about, it's probably a question you've answered a million times, just not, I'm so new, I don't know the answer. When it says you need to store your tools under lock and key, what degree of lock and key, like for example, Laura, where is your signing kit right now? Is it in your house? Is it locked in your, is it like gun safe lock and key, or is it, what level of lock and key do I need to be looking at?
So first of all, unless your statute defines that, and hardly anybody's does, it means that you've got some kind of locking device on the container you keep it in, and you're keeping it in a safe location. I can tell you that in California, the Secretary of State put in, not in the statute because it's not there, but in the newsletter, that they do not believe your car trunk or back seat is a safe location. That even though the bag might be locked, left in your car unattended is not a safe location. So for instance, when I'm done running around, then I bring my bag in, I set it by the front door so I don't forget it when I'm walking back out. At night, when I'm done for the day, I leave it in my house overnight because people break into cars. And it's a pain to have to, get your new seal again and get all your supplies all over again.
Right.
But it may not say that in the statute that it's not okay to put in your car. It doesn't say in the statute you got to put it in a gun safe. So you need to make a decision. What is a safe practice for your bag?
Okay, so at the moment, I have a lock on my bag. At night, I keep it in my office, which is also locked. Is that adequate? I mean, I would think it would be, but it's in my house.
So what you're asking me to do is interpret the law, and I'm not an attorney. So what I'm telling you
and the
is
law
that
is
you
vague.
need to make that decision.
All right.
Don't put it to me. You have to make that decision.
I just wanted
Did
to know
you lock it? Do you feel your car is a safe place? If you don't, when it's unattended, then where should you put it when it's unattended?
All right.
I'd like to
I'm
add
being
something.
a little bit pushy back here, but guys, if something happens with your bag, and you say, well, Laura said it was okay to keep it in the car, right? I can't do that. Every notary has to make a decision based on how they manage their tools, based on the community they live in, based on what they feel the safety level is when their bag is in transit with them. I'm not telling you that I grab my bag if I pop in the store to get something and I'm in there 5 minutes, I may not grab my bag.
Right.
But
okay.
That's my decision, and it may or may not be a good one all the time, but that's my decision. And so I take, we all have to take that risk.
Okay.
Laura, I'd like to add something to this conversation.
Please do.
All right. There is really good locking bags out there too. We've talked about that before. They're available cheap, $25 at Target and stuff that lock. My daughter uses one. It holds everything. But I want to say something else there that I've run across over the years with my students. Be very careful when you put those magnetic signs on your cars, because depending on where you're at, that puts a target on your car. People see that, they know what's inside the car, which is your notary gear, whatever you have. And in fact, I have a guest that I'd like to introduce in a little while, who's ex-district attorney. He knows what he's doing regarding fraud. And I'd like to see his opinion on that too. Be real careful if you have those, if you're in an area where you think that you might be vulnerable to having your car broken into. Those are red flags, take them off.
Right. Good
Thank you.
thought, Carol. And we're going to go maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, and I think we'll change over to talk with David. So hold on, let me grab a couple more questions. But first, I have 6 more people who came in. Let me admit them all.
We got 7 more waiting.
I said admit, so they should all be joining. All right, so let's see who I've got next. Oh, it keeps moving around on me. All right, I can't even, hold on just a second, guys. I gotta get glasses. I can't see this. I just can't do it.
Prime time notaries.
Lord, I'm telling you. Okay, that's a little bit better. So I've got, the screen keeps moving on me. Stop it. Is it Belanley iPhone?
Yeah, hi. My name is Bola.
Thank you.
I'm from California. Here's my question. I get a lot of requests to do notarization for packages called, I think it's called debt restructuring or debt consolidation. What do you think about those?
I'm not getting the words you're saying. What is it called?
Debt consolidation, Laura.
Debt consolidation.
From Sunshine.
What is your thought?
So debt consolidation is where somebody is they've got a bunch of debt, and rather than trying to pay all the cards, they hire a company that negotiates on their behalf to consolidate all that debt and perhaps not pay all of it, but pay a percentage of it. And then when they need documents signed, and usually there's one notarized, a power of attorney, they ask for a notary to go out and get those documents signed. Here's the deal, is a lot of them have a script that they want you to follow, which indicates that you represent that company. And number one. Number two, I'm not very about their programs because it costs a lot of money for them to work with them to do what they're going to do. So I don't personally accept those, but there's nothing illegal about them for a notary to do that. It's just not something I have as part of my portfolio. Carol, what do you think about debt consolidation?
That was my thought.
I think that you have to be, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Carol.
I think you have to be very careful with these.
Okay, Belanley, please hold on a moment. Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you have to be really careful. My husband and I did a number of these when we lived in Arizona, and for the most part, they really helped a lot of people. But we've had a couple where they were just horrible, and that we got to the people's homes, and I'm like going through documents sometimes for the very first time, and I'm like, oh, please don't sign, please don't sign. Yeah. But you can't say anything, you can't advise them. Yeah, you got to be really careful. I know that there's a lot of them being given out by Sunshine Signing Connection in Florida. They used to do all just real estate stuff. Now they're kind of doing these, and they're pretty safe. She also, I think, mentioned structured settlements.
Oh, yes.
And those are important. Those are really good. Mm-hmm. What those are is if somebody, well, I'll give you an example. We had a young man who at birth was deprived of oxygen. He had multiple sclerosis, or cerebral palsy, excuse me. And he only had the use of really nothing. couldn't use his hands or anything. And we started seeing him when he was like 17 years old. What happened is he had a huge amount of money that was set aside for his use, you know, from a lawsuit. And he needed to have certain things every year, like a new van or something. So we started going to his home. He couldn't sign the paperwork. We put a pen in his mouth, and his father was there, and we had him sign. These are wonderful. These are allow these people to be able to sign paperwork that will give them money out of this fund, out of this, you know, whatever they've gotten judgments for, pull that money out for their needs. We saw him from the time he was 17 until he was like 23 every year. They're great because it gives these people that are so harmed for one reason or another the ability to pull that money out of there. That's what a structured settlement is.
Right, and very different than the other one. I do structured settlements, and the structured settlement, the way the company gets paid is they pay a certain amount on the dollar amount. So if so much is being basically factored off or sold off of what the total settlement is, a piece of that goes to the company doing it. And, you know, some percentage of that, and the rest of it then in a lump sum goes to the signer themselves. And I've done those, and those, I agree with Carol. They're very helpful for people who can't wait 20 years to get every little piecemeal as it comes. They need some more for a larger expense. So thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I gotta let some people in.
Oh, I'm doing it, Laura.
You are? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. And what I'd like to do, Carol, can we just stop for a few minutes here and introduce your guest?
I would love to do
we're
that.
as full as we're going to be.
Okay, and everybody should be able to see him. His name is David Fleck. He reached out to me probably about a month ago. He wanted to have our graduates, Notary to Pro graduates, test out a new app that he has come up with. I'm going to let him tell you about his background and about this new app. I am really excited about this, and he wants as many people who are willing to try it out that can do it, and he wants feedback on it. It is one of the greatest fraud prevention items that I've seen in a long time. So I'm going to introduce you, David. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you happened to come to create this company and this app.
Well, thank you, Carol, and thank you, Laura, for having me on here today. And thank you to all the notaries who are here joining us today. Yeah, I was a deputy district attorney in Los Angeles County for 10 years. And for the last 11 years, I've been a lawyer in private practice. Well, as many of you have probably experienced, you never know which way your career and lives are going to twist and turn. And so I just happened to start handling fraud cases, and more specifically, real estate fraud cases. And over the years, I became an expert in, of all things, home title fraud. Some of you may have seen some advertisements on TV or heard them on radio from another company. This isn't mine. It's called Home Title Lock. And they're dealing with the same issue that I'm dealing with. And sort of as an example of what the kinds of cases I've handled, one of the guests asked about locking up his seal, and I used to work with a detective who investigated a case. There was a notary who good notary, did everything right, except for one thing. She didn't lock up her stamp at lunchtime. She worked in a real estate office, and she'd put it in her drawer, but didn't lock it up. Well, by the time that detective was finished investigating this case, he found her stamp on 400 fraudulent deeds across the country. Somebody in her office was borrowing her stamp at lunch, stamping a bunch of deeds. They might have been blank, and then they just sent them off, and they were used as necessary. And you know, this is actually more common than you would think. It's very easy for crooks to forge your stamp. I mean, they could just order a new stamp, with your name on it, or they might cut and paste your stamp well enough that it'll get past the county recorder's offices and other people's. And it happens with unfortunate regularity, and you won't know about it until the detective is knocking at your door, or you've gotten drawn into a lawsuit for a notarization you had nothing to do with. The other thing that notaries have to deal with today is modern fake IDs. I mean, people can order fake IDs, today that you can't tell are fake by the naked eye. You and I might not know where to find those things, but believe me, the bad guys do. And the U.S. Customs Service just last November, it's not called the U.S. Customs Service anymore, it's U.S. Customs and Border Enforcement or something like that, seized 3,000 high quality fake IDs that came in from China and were destined for all parts of the United States. And you know that was only one shipment of many. So you know that these are just, they're all over the place. Did you ask a question, Laura? No, okay. So that was the issue I was trying to deal with. Back when I was a deputy district attorney, my initial thought was, well, these notaries are involved. That's often the case. Notaries get sucked into litigation because people always assume the notary was involved. Well, back when I had that mindset, I actually wrote and passed some legislation in California. So the reason there is you can no longer notarize for people who are personally known to you is because of me. I wrote that legislation in California, and in California now, when the notary signs the acknowledgement, they sign under penalty of perjury. I added that language, but I've evolved beyond that because I realized after doing enough of these cases, the notaries aren't the problem. In fact, the notaries are the solution. The notaries are the people who are at that perfect point, that perfect moment in time to prevent this kind of crime. I mean, that's at its very core, that's what a notary is supposed to do, verify somebody's identity and confirm that they are the one who signed this document. So when I look at a notarized document with your seal on it, I should have confidence that the signer was who they say they were. But unfortunately, with fake IDs and forged documents, it's very hard for notaries to combat or defeat modern con artists. So that's what we've tried to do with this app. And I'm a little older than most entrepreneur, technology startup, founders. They're usually in their 20s, and I'm 49. My partner's actually 73, and so we come at this differently than many younger entrepreneurs. They want to change everything. Let's turn everything upside down. Let's start fresh. That's not what we did. We wanted to leave everything as it is because this notarial process has been in place for hundreds of years. It's tried and true. We wanted to give you some tools that you could use in your regular process to defeat these bad guys. So we've created an app where the first thing you have to do is you have to register and establish your identity. So we know who you are. We want to make sure you are who you are. And then when you log into the app at a notarization, we know it's you that's present there. It's not somebody who's stolen your stamp. It's not somebody who's forging, your stamp. It's you. You're present and accounted for. You're the real deal. A real notary is there at the signing. And then you use the same system we have, which involves taking a picture of the person's driver's license and taking a picture of their face, and within anywhere from 20 seconds to basically a minute and a half, the system will tell you, one, whether or not that ID is real or fake, and two, whether or not the person in front of you is the same person depicted on that driver's license. I met a notary a few months ago who owns a signing service out here in California who got sued because a brother who looked pretty much like his brother impersonated his brother and came in using his brother's ID. And so he got sued even though he had no idea that this person was impersonating his brother. So our app will prevent that kind of thing. And then after the whole process is done, you snap a picture of the signature pages and it locks the date, time, and location and your identity and their identity to that document forever. I see a bunch of questions coming up, and I'll get to them if I have time. So it adds a little more. It adds a little bit more to what you're doing. I mean, you can choose if you want to simply use the ID verification part. If you for example, are kind of suspicious of this person, you can just verify their identity, make sure that they are, that's not a fake ID. Or you can use the whole process, which locks the entire transaction. And that's actually our end goal. If we can get a county, for example, to mandate the use of our app on all real estate transactions, it will literally eliminate the possibility of home title theft in that county. Matt, I see is shaking his head. He's got some other ideas about this. I'd like to hear your ideas, Matt. Maybe we can talk by email, offline or something. I'd love to hear your ideas. But so what I'm asking for now, what I reached out to Carol for is we're doing a pilot project, and we need as much feedback as possible, good, bad, and ugly. We put a lot of effort into this app. It's a beautiful app. It's well designed, but there's going to be things that you guys see that we didn't anticipate. It's just the nature of building this kind of thing. So I've come up with a pilot project, and unfortunately, I can't afford to pay all of you who do it, but I came up with, I think, a pretty good incentive for it. Whoever tests the app with us, we'll do a raffle at the end of it. Everybody who tests it, their name will be in the pot, and we'll draw 3 names. The number one, the first place winner will get $250, a $250 gift card. The second place winner will get $150, and the third place winner will get $100. I think that's a decent amount of money. And just to try to, to get people to do this sooner than later, the first 5 people who finish will also get a $50 gift card each. So if you're interested in helping me out and testing the app out for free, I mean, the way it works is the app is free for the first month. After that, it's $3.99 a month. And you get 10 free verifications per month. We're actually going to eliminate that fee for the verifications altogether. But currently the way it's structured is there's a fee for the verifications after the first 10. So you can do this entire pilot within the free period, no problem there. So if you're interested, if I can just share my screen, it shows my email address, and I'll say it as well. Oh, I can't show it. I can't share it. Only the host can. But
go ahead and say it, David.
What's that?
Go ahead and say it.
Okay.
Even though you can't share your screen, go ahead and share, or you can put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat, and I'll also say it. It's David F, my last initial, David F at veritabledata.com. David F at veritabledata.com. So just shoot me an email, tell me if you're interested. And like I said, we need, including from Matt, we need the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything you think about it will help us make a great app. And our goal is to eliminate this kind of fraud. I mean, that's our goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. And by the way, it's not just notary stamps. Our second product is actually for the construction industry, because there's the same problem with engineering seals and architecture seals. When they fill out a document in the construction industry, they stamp those documents as well. And believe it or not, the LA DA's office just prosecuted 2 guys who pretended to be engineers and architects for a decade. They were building all sorts of buildings. Neither of them was licensed to do that. And the scary thing is we won't know all the buildings they worked on until the next earthquake because of the shoddy construction. So, I mean, basically the bigger picture is we're trying to make seals meaningful, really meaningful. So when people look at it, they know it's not forged. They know that the real person appeared in front of that notary. So anyway, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. This is an amazing group. I can't believe I can believe there's something like this out there, but it's just fantastic. Oh, should I look at the questions? I mean, are there some questions I should answer there?
Let me just see here, because I don't want to take the whole rest of the call.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to shoot me a question by email, I'll respond. I'll send you an email back.
I see you put your email in there, David F at veritabledata.
Yes.
.com. The other question I did see a couple times is this for California only, for all 50 states?
Oh, all 50 states.
Okay. Very good.
All 50 states.
Okay.
And for any Notary to Pro graduates out there, it's on the graduates website under the Extras tab. his videos. So check it out, because he'd like to have all of you jump in and try to give this thing a run for its money and see
And
what happens.
thank you in advance to everybody who helps. I really do appreciate it.
David, thank you for joining us today and sharing your endeavor to help us and help the public have safer transactions. So I appreciate that. And those of you who are interested in pursuing more information, as Carol said, on a graduate site, if you're Notary to Pro graduate, you'll see a video there. And also you have David's email directly. So anything you'd like to communicate with him directly, go ahead and take that offline. The email is in the chat. It was David, F as in Frank, at veritabledata.com. All right, so we're going to move off of that topic and go back to those of you who had your hands raised. So I'm going to go back to participants. Let me see if I can find you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Calvin in Murrieta, California.
May I stay and listen to the questions?
David, please feel free. You're our guest.
Thank you.
But where is Calvin? I think you're still here. Maybe you're just not unmuting. Please unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. All right.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm really happy to be here. I have not completed my testing yet, so I'm not an actual registered notary as of yet. But I learned of this website in the meeting and was advised to come join in and get all this wonderful information to kind of help propel me in the right direction. So happy to be here. And David, that information that you shared was excellent. I will definitely be a participant once I become a notary to use that service, because that's something we definitely need. Being in security in the years past, it is very difficult to identify fraudulent IDs with the naked eye. And even as being in security, sometimes we are aware of some of those elements that you can look for, but they still get missed. So your app will definitely be of great use to me, and I will use it always. My question is in regards to, let's see if I lost my, oh, here we go. So I wrote it down here. One of my questions was, as a notary, am I allowed, as you mentioned about making photocopies of a driver's license, am I also allowed to make copies or certified copies of a photocopy of a birth certificate?
So
No.
we don't
No,
make
you can't.
photocopies of birth certificates ever.
Okay.
In fact, in California, that's not an act for us, true copies at all. And when we go to assignments for, say, a loan signing, then I want you to be aware that you may ask the signer to provide a photocopy of their ID if the lender has requested it to put in the package. But we are not making the photocopies.
Okay.
Does that answer your
Okay,
question?
because I think yeah, it does answer my question, but I'm a little confused in the respect that when we are dealing with a copy of the original, I think was the point. I think that it was advised that I am to make a copy of a particular document, but I have to be there with the person that is requesting the service to actually witness them making the copy and then signing it.
I'd like to answer this.
Let me finish, Carol, and then I'll let you
Okay.
jump in. Because since this is California, you're right here in my home state. And we have no reason to watch somebody make a copy of a document. And the reason that we don't is that that is not a notarial act. We can't certify that it's a copy. What we can do is if somebody brought me a copy of something that they wanted to certify as a true copy, I would tell them I'm not allowed to make that kind of certification. But what I can do for you is if you want to make a statement as the custodian of that document, that this is a true copy and sign that statement, I'm happy to perform a notarial act against your signature, such as an acknowledgement or a jurat. Which one would you like? Now, I don't know that
Okay.
requirements of the receiving agency. They would have to find that out. I don't know whether acknowledgement or jurat is the right one either. They would need to make that choice or find out. So does that clarify that? Okay, now Carol?
I was just gonna, let me see, I'm unmuted. I was just gonna say, you mentioned birth certificate, and birth certificates are filed with the clerk in the county where you're born. You'll never see the original ever. The only person that can certify those is the county clerk. People have to write to the clerks, and in every state that I know of, to make a copy. And also, I'm going to add something else. Military IDs. No longer can you not only make a copy, but even the owner cannot make copies of military IDs. They can't copy their own. They cannot be copied.
Okay. Good info. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me go back to, I'll go to here. Let's see if I can move that. Oh, now I think I can see things much better. Hina, you're next.
Hi, this is Hannah from California.
Yes.
All right, I have a question about self-inked stamps, name stamps and date stamps.
Uh-huh.
Can you use a date stamp on deed of trust, notice of right to cancel, compliance agreement, all the documents in a loan packet? Can you use a stamp on it, date stamp?
All right, I do have an opinion on that, but Carol, do you have something you'd like to say on that?
No, you go ahead, Laura.
All right, so I do not use a date stamp within the body of a document like a right of rescission. That's, I hand write that, or I have the signer hand write that. I do use a date stamp in my journal because that's faster for me. I could use a date stamp on the date of my certificate part because I'm responsible for my certificate, but I'm not for the document portion. And typically, when they sign and it's asked for a date, they're expected to handwrite the date to go with the signature. So I would never say, oh yeah, why don't we just use this date stamp? Certainly the instructions we get is not going to address that. And that's not addressed in our statutes either, because that's the document portion we're talking about, and our statutes are going to address the notary part that we handle. So it's not my recommendation. Carol, do you have something you want to?
What about names, like my name stamp on a deed of trust where you have your name and title? Can you use a stamp there on a deed of trust?
Sure, you absolutely can. The law does not address how, it's just original. It's original. So the date, the name, your signature has to be manually affixed, and then you've got your seal of office, and all those elements need to be original, and then you're fine. I thought you were referring to the document part, but for your certificate, there's nothing that in the law that tells us we cannot do that.
Okay.
So if you feel that it expedites there, I don't happen to choose to do that. I happen to do those kinds of things in my journal. I like to handwrite in my handwriting those elements blank for me.
Yeah, because a lot of information like state or county, it's redundant, right? On the deed of trust, on the deed of trust and many other compliance agreements that come in the loan packet, a lot of stuff is just redundant. You just, it's easier to use a stamp than handwrite everything.
And sometimes it's already pre-done for you. A lot of my have state of California, county of, and they've got my county. So they're actually pre-filled out for me. I just, there are certain things that you have a gut reaction to. My gut reaction is that I print my name, that I sign my name, that I do those by hand myself. Then if I'm ever asked, did you fill out the certificate? I can say, yeah, that's my handwriting. Anybody can put a stamp on it. I'm not so worried about the county and state, but the other pieces of information, that's just my personal take on it. There's no law to back me up on what I just said.
Okay.
Carol, do you have anything you want to say before we?
Just one quick question after if Carol has anything to say.
Carol?
No, I don't have really much to add. I personally prefer handwriting everything, although in California, the amount of work that we have to go through to fill in our journal,
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest to my graduates that they use stamps for whatever they can.
For journal.
But on the certificate itself, I wouldn't use stamps. I think it's best in your own handwriting.
Okay. In a journal, the address that's on their ID, do we use their current address or the address that's on the ID for our journals?
So the journal, that column is an additional column. It is not required by law for us to record print their name and their address. Therefore, you can determine what you want to put there. Some people put what's on the ID. Some people say, hey, it's not right on the ID, then what is it? And they put the right one. But that column is left up to the notary to decide. My recommendation is whatever you choose, be consistent. Make it your practice. This is how I do it. Don't do it sometimes this way and sometimes that way.
Right.
Okay?
Right. The journal is basically our decision.
Not the whole journal, but the columns that are not required. And there are 3 for the state of California, and that's where you are. So the address where you're performing the signing, the name and address column, and the notes or additional information are all up to the notary. Everything else we have to fill out as the law tells us.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you for asking. Let's see, Lauren Sims. There you are.
Yeah. Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay. An observation to share with the group and a question. I'll start with the question. I've been getting a lot of signing order assignments, and a couple of these signing companies wait till the very last second to send the docs out and not leave enough room to go through and find things and understand what needs to be done. It's frustrating because I've asked them ASAP, please, but what do you do with those type of situations? How can you encourage us to deal with that? Now the observation real quick. I worked for TSA for 9.5 years. ID, identification, is a practice. You don't just do it, you have to practice looking at IDs. I made an investment and bought this book. It has all of the state's IDs so that you have an idea of what you're looking at when you're vetting people's IDs. Invest in a blue light so you can find all of the holograms. But you do have to practice it. Now it's changing. Ron is going to change a bunch of stuff, and I'm sure that app is going to go to Ron states more before for anybody else. But practice and invest in not being deceived. It's an investment. Okay, I worked for TSA for 9.5 years. We were being challenged on deception every day. Okay, I'm done.
So Carol, I think Carol might have had to leave. I don't see her anymore.
No, I'm here.
Carol, did you want to answer Lawrence's question? You gave me a sign, and I don't know what that was.
Yeah, tell me what you want me to answer, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now in my house.
Okay. Encouragement on dealing with signing companies that wait till the last possible
I have an answer.
Okay.
This is what I advise my graduates, because we face this all of the time. In fact, I just talked to a student this morning I was mentoring. When you deal with a company that you know makes a practice of not getting those documents in time for you to take time with them, prepare, make sure that everything is correct and there. You need that time. You've got to have that preparation time with these documents. When you run into a situation like this, you're going to see it's the same companies over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Call the borrowers, let them know that there's a possibility you will not get your documents in time to successfully prepare them for signing. Ask them if they are available at a later time, just so that you know that if in fact you get them at the last minute, that you can call them and say, you know what, we're going to have to do the 7 o'clock instead of the 6. If you know in advance that they're going to be available, it takes the stress off of you. We shouldn't have to pay for their delay, and we don't want to cheat the borrowers by taking documents out there that we don't understand, for one
Yeah.
thing, or that might have incorrect information.
Yes.
So that's the way I teach my students to handle it. You know, Laura may have a different opinion, but that's how I feel about it.
Same thing. All right, thank you, Lawrence. I have two things, and this is not for Lawrence specifically. One is, in the question that we answered previously about stamps, I want to make sure everybody understood she was not asking about using a signature stamp. Of course, that is not acceptable at all, and we all know that. So I wanted to make sure that no one on this call thought she was asking about using a signature stamp. She was asking about dates and her printed name on the before me line. So I just want to make sure that was clear. The second thing that I want to do is Matt, if you're still on the call, would you unmute yourself, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Matt. And Matt, I know you wanted an opportunity and we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to pull you up.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Good to see everyone again. Couple things. Hey, Carol. Couple things is the calnotaries.org forum is launching today. So head over there and get your comments in and start collaborating and sharing experiences because it's live today, guys. So check it out. Let me know if you need any help with it. And the other thing is, I just want to make a quick public service announcement in regards to identity vetting apps, websites, anything electronic. You can use these things, but keep in mind, at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, you, the notary, will be held to account, even when that software fails, because you are the one that's commissioned by the state to vet identity, not an app or a website. So just keep that in mind, all right? And that's it.
Thank you, Matt, for sharing that. And that's a good reminder because I'm asked a lot about name variation from an ID to a document. And when I talk about the amount of name variation I might accept, I also need to remind notaries that the further you go away from the name on the ID to the name on the document, even though we may have that ability because it's satisfactory evidence, not a name match, the more responsibility and accountability you take on as the notary that you've properly identified that person. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that you know, we can come up with all kinds of tools to make things easier for us, but it doesn't remove the accountability that we have. And I don't know if the public even understands the amount of responsibility and accountability we carry. You know, they see us as a stamp, right? That's something we had to get done. And that's all they see. And they don't really understand what goes behind it. They don't know I have to know 120 different laws to do a 5-minute appointment. And so, you know, it's like hiring the plumber and you pay a whole bunch of money and he takes 2 minutes to fix something. It's like you didn't pay for the 2 minutes. You paid for all that education. You paid for all that experience. You paid for that knowledge. And that's what we bring. And so it's important for us to remember that about ourselves, that we bring so much more to a stamp to the table. And we're empowered to be using all of our tools to help us do the job, but we have to make the decisions. And we can't let anybody, any technology, anything get in the way of us using our own wisdom. Okay, I
have a very important question to ask.
Okay, Carol, I'm going to take you.
Calvin, do you do over voice recordings? Because you have one of those radio voices.
That's funny that you say that. Someone did mention that to me last week. And no, I haven't. And I've been asked that I should probably do so. as another career.
You should.
Career.
You should.
Oh,
I just
thank
thought
you.
I'd lighten things up. And I want to remind everybody that if you're interested in the Primetime Notary group that we're going to be doing live once a month, go to Notary Professionals if you're a member of Facebook, Notary Professionals, and join. We've got 4,100 members there and lots of conversations. So love to see you there. And everybody have a wonderful rest of your week and be safe.
Thank you, Carol. And I second that message. Everybody be safe. Everybody enjoy your time. Make sure you put yourself on your calendar so that you get what's important done first. All right. And we'll see you next week. And guess what? Next week, Bill is back. Bill is back. Yay. So join us next week for that. Enjoyed having you here today. Have a good one. Bye.
Hello?
Recording.
Shit, it's over with.